Boom, boom. Good evening. Happy Matter Day. You matter. So continuing on with story time. And remember, it's the first time I ever tried to write my book, and I'm working on it. This is my first few entries so far. And this is Chapter 3, Farms, Whiskey, and Country Songs. So, despite everything, our Christmases were actually pretty good. We'd get presents for a long time, and actually I still believed in Santa Claus forever until I was like 12. I think part of me wanted to hold on. I think I read this last time. All right. Shovel. All right. Tennessee. There we go. Then came Tennessee. I was in fifth grade when we moved back. That's when things started to shift. I joined the school band, trombone, but that didn't last long. As soon as the coaches saw how big I was compared to the other kids, they pulled me out and threw me into sports. I was a natural athlete. Being good at sports became a new escape. But even before all that, I had already started drinking. There was this garage nearby where adults kept beer. We'd sneak in, steal some, and drink until we were wobbling. I remember getting drunk, sitting with my feelings that I didn't understand yet, listening to old country tapes, Patsy Cline, Waylon Jennings, Dolly Parton, Reba McEntire. I'd cry like a broken old man, 12 years old with a bottle in my hand, pretending I'd lived through a heartbreak. Pretending I'd lived through a heartbreak I couldn't name yet. We even had this nasty bottle of whiskey called Charter. We called it Chunky Charter. So old and rancid. We still drank it. And it didn't really dawn on me. It's funny to laugh at that, but 12 years old, I'm not even a teenager, and I'm getting drunk, crying. I don't know why I was crying. I had trauma I was going through, and girlfriends I broke up with. But instead of growing through it and learning to cope with it, I got drunk. Looking back, it's wild. I didn't realize at the time, but the drinking problem before I even hit my teen years. In Tennessee, I dove into sports, football, track, baseball. I was a pitcher and could throw fire, knock balls out of the park. I hit home runs over the high school fences when I was still in 8th grade. Sports gave me validation, gave me something I was good at, because it never felt I fit in anywhere else, really. I wanted to be cool, to be liked, to belong, but we didn't have money. I didn't have the right clothes, the right gear. I only had talent and my pain. And then there was the discipline, some of it abuse. I remember once we were putting an above ground pool in. And I went to carry the liner and it slipped. And as I tried to hand it, this is going to be tougher than I thought. And as I tried to hand it to my stepdad, he snapped, knocked it out of my hands, grabbed me by the neck and dragged me behind the shed and said and I'll never forget this, and said if I ever did something like that, he basically accused me of making some type of sexual gesture with that liner and told me if I ever did that again, he would make me do that. And that moment stuck with me, not just fear, but confusion, the manipulation, the psychological wounds that fester beneath the bruises. But as I got older, the physical got less. I got bigger. I can remember we got into it, and basically I threatened him and said, if you ever touch me again, it'll be the last time. And I still remember that instance too. There's more to that story, but When I finish my book, it'll all come out. I share these things because I work through this trauma also. And it's tough to walk through these doors again. And that day, a fuse blew inside of me. That scared little boy began to fade, replaced by somebody who learned to survive. That was a tough one, actually. By then, grades had become everything, not because I cared about school, but because falling short meant getting grounded. I was grounded a lot. Sometimes I felt like I lived in permanent state of restriction. I had 10-minute time limits on the old rotary phone. Was just the cherry on top. I remember chasing approval like it was oxygen. Fitting in mattered more to me than most things. I wanted to be seen, to be liked, to be cool. Football became the only ticket to that world. On the field, I wasn't the scared kid from home. I was somebody. Whew. I didn't realize walking through these doors would be so tough. We didn't have much money, but you wouldn't have known by how I acted. I put everything into my image, belonging, would beg my mom to talk to my stepdad into buying me the newest pair of cool shoes, even though we couldn't afford it. I can remember getting money for school clothes, but we had a limited amount, and I would spend it all on shoes, and I would be wearing the same pants all the time. Oh, there's a story about that. Whatever was going to make me look the part. The right shoes, the right look, the right lie. At home, though, none of it mattered. There was no power. My mom was always there, though. Always there taking care of, shielding us. She was our buffer, a thin wall between us and the storm. Whew. We'll head on to lessons in detention and discipline. Tennessee schools didn't play around. When it came to discipline, detention wasn't just sitting quietly in a room. It meant standing at the chalkboard, writing your name over until your hand cramped. And when you're done, the real lesson began. The paddle. I can still hear the sound of that paddle snapping through the air. Mr. Joy, the principal, was a tall man, easily 6'4", and he kept that paddle in plain sight, hanging like a quiet threat in the corner of his office. I learned early on what it felt like usually for talking too much or chasing attention. That was my crime every time, talking, whether it was chatting up girls or cracking jokes to make other kids laugh. I couldn't help but reach for some kind of connection, some kind of approval. Anything that made me feel seen. But I knew where the line was. I couldn't push it too far. Football kept me honest enough. The coaches had an eye everywhere. Sports were my ticket, my way to hang out with the kids who had the life I wanted, the kids with money, nice clothes, and the place to belong. It was my pass into a world I didn't come from, and I held on to it tightly. I think we'll stop there tonight. Next week, we'll pick up with insecurities in shoulder pads. Thank y'all for listening to me. Thank y'all for subscribing to my page, for believing in what I do. As I say this all the time, it's the recovery of me. Thank you. None of this works without all of you too. Y'all have an amazing night. Happy Matter Day. You matter. Storytime.